Guys, in this video, as we prayer walk today, me with our twins, I'm going to share with you the role of proximity in being on mission. How important is it that we have overlap with those that we are desiring to reach in the harvest? That's coming up. Hey guys, so today as I'm out here walking with our boys and try to get out as many days during the week in the early morning as I can until the weather turns. So right now it's still pretty nice outside, but get out as often as we can to prayer walk. And I find that it's really helpful that we have this way of overlapping in life, that as a family on mission, when mission is an additional thing added to your schedule, it becomes really hard to actually do it. But the fact that we live in the harvest field we want to reach, we are specifically living among South Asians in this apartment complex. It allows us to be near the people that we desire to reach. And then in the mornings when I get up to go prayer walk, it's not a drive across town to go to a mission field to walk in. It's just outside of our door. And so that allows a lot more opportunities for overlap in general, and for specifically for us to not add things into our schedule and to be able to actually bring our kids along on the journey. So the majority of what we see in the New Testament, whether we're reading through the Gospels, the book of Acts, or even as we read in the epistles, is this exhortation and model of people, missionaries on mission to their relational network. Of course, we see Jesus also talking about in passages like Luke 10, this example of a house of peace church or a person of peace church, where they are looking for a person of peace and then investing time there with them. But even this in the New Testament is an example of relational networks. So we see that this person of peace is going to reach out to their relational network. So think of the woman at the well in John 4, the demoniac in Mark 5, Cornelius in the book of Acts. Then we see the jailer, or Lydia, the purple cloth dealer. But we see each of them reaching their own relational network. So even in the person of peace strategy, at the core of how the kingdom advances is reaching relational networks. Now, what does this have to do with proximity? Well, when we are separated out from multiple overlap points with a relational network, it becomes very challenging to get traction and to see momentum happen that isn't entirely generated by us. Also challenging to begin to duplicate something that is different than what we're actually modeling. And this is where proximity comes into play, because even in this passage like Luke 10 that Jesus is talking about, we see here that this is a small, geographically and relationally, culturally connected group of people. So in saying, find this person of peace and then plant yourself there, they're saying, immerse yourself in this relational network such that it becomes saturated with the gospel and saturated with the kingdom. And so there's this strategy of finding a relational network and then through proximity finding ways to overlap with their way of life. The kingdom grows through relationships and not just through one-off events. And so if we can find ways to immerse ourselves and find more and more overlap points with the people that we desire to reach, it is a greater chance of that becoming a movement and not just a few one-off encounters. So as an example of this, we are living here in these apartments that you can see right now that I'm filming in front of. And this is the pool area. And in these apartments, there are places like this pool, like general gathering places where we can have overlap. And by living here, we've already seen that cross-culturally, we're able to connect more effectively with the South Asian people we desire to meet and to get to know. They don't speak the language as well, they don't speak English as well, and they feel a lot more comfortable with us over time as they see our face, as there's time spent together. And this happens through proximity, not just through us jumping in here once a week or even once every few days and coming to prayer walk or spend time here, but there's something that happens, there's a trust built by us being here regularly. One of the things that we have lost in our American culture is the power of with-ness, with-ness. And I think because of our event-oriented culture and way of life, we begin to lose out on this reality that being around people, spending time with them, there's a transference of the intangibles that doesn't happen through just an event. And so some examples of how we've done this is by finding this pocket in our city where there are a lot of South Asian people, moving in here, and then beginning to sacrificially find ways to open up our life. So we have dinner outside multiple days of the week where we just sit outside on our porch or sit outside in the common area and have dinner with our children. And we've begun to allow our kids to play with neighborhood kids and get to know people that way. So there's an overlap in that. And then we've got this common laundromat, which is inconvenient. So it would be nicer. We actually applied for a unit here that had hookups for a washer dryer, didn't get it. But it's actually been a huge blessing that we have to go do our laundry in a common laundromat and have had a lot of those opportunities for overlap in that way. And so I could tell you more stories and other ways that we've had overlap in this place as we've just been out walking. We've gone to the playground that I walked by earlier in this video. And we just find ways to use normal things in our life, like taking our kids out to that playground and beginning to meet people and find overlap in life to share in their culture and to share in life together. These opportunities give us a way to not only share about Jesus, but begin to train and immerse ourselves in this culture for this period of time that we're here. We don't know if we'll be here longer than a year, probably not, but in that time that we're here, it allows us to really invest in a deep way in the persons of peace that we've begun to find here. So you may not move to a complex like we did to do cross-cultural discipleship ministry, but you may live in a neighborhood, or you may have kids that have soccer practice, band practice. You may go to events with your church or neighborhood block parties, those kinds of things. And I just want to encourage you to begin to open up your life to find those events that are already, or those activities that are already in your life, and begin to live loud in them. What if you became the coach on the soccer team? Or what if you begin to just share with parents as you sit in the bleachers and watch the soccer game? So for us, we've got this playground area where we meet friends and the families near us that's within this enclosed apartment complex. And so what do you have? What do you have that's close to you geographically? Or what events or activities you already have in your life? Or what might you need to change so that the events, even your kids' activities, overlap more with the people that you already have connection with in your life or that God's calling you to? What if there's something that's closer to home in your neighborhood that you could have your kids join in on that would allow you to meet your neighbors in a greater way? So finding ways to increase your proximity and overlap will allow you more opportunity to invest in those persons of peace and that oikos as God begins to connect you with them. So one final thought, God may call you to become the person of peace. And so one of the things we've found in the North American context is that oftentimes people are very disconnected. And so if you're hearing all of this and you're saying, yeah, that's great, but I just don't see that in my context, He may call you to become the person of peace, to become the hub in your neighborhood. If you've got a lot of white Americans, if you live around white folks, or if you live around a culture group that's common in that neighborhood, He may call you to become the person of peace and invite people over until you find that person who might be the gatherer, who might be the one who has a burden on their heart to impact and see things change in their neighborhood. Then you begin to partner with them. When you begin to find that person of peace who adopts the message, the messenger, and the mission, then you begin to partner with them. But until then, He may call you to be that person of peace. So just to encourage you guys, oikos is powerful. It's the way of the kingdom, and proximity is the hugest key to seeing that gospel saturate in a faster, more comprehensive way. So hope that's helpful. See you guys next time.